welcome to 10 Minute Tuesday. My name is CrysDawna, and if you are new here, I am the owner and creator here. I am a furniture artist. Every Tuesday I do a 10 Minute Tuesday. I have gotten a lot of questions about my journey, where I started, how I started this business, and so I figured I'd go over it a little bit and let you guys know, and then maybe there's some tips in there that will help you. Sorry, that was Cannon. Here's Cannon. He's back here with me. So if you guys are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell and you'll get all the latest videos. I put out furniture refinishing videos. I put out these videos, tips and tricks, all that stuff. It's fun here. I feel like it's fun here. Do you guys feel like it's fun here? Anyways, so I have my phone, which is, the screen is really dirty. So we're gonna set it for 10 minutes. And I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about how my journey started, and then maybe there's something in there that can help you. So I've always been super creative. So I've always loved color, and when my husband and I, we had moved, we had lived in Italy for 4 years, and we bought our second house in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And we are super frugal, and so he wanted a hutch. And so what we did is we went thrifting and we found a hutch. Lo and behold, the first piece I painted, first piece of furniture that I really painted was white, which great, a lot of people like that. That's not my style. I don't know why I did it. Maybe for my husband. I don't know. I was like 5 months pregnant painting furniture for our house. Maybe not even that far along. Anyways, so I started doing that and I started painting furniture around our house, and my husband was like, why don't you do this for a business? And I said, people don't do that. People don't paint furniture for a living. Boy, was I wrong. People do. And so I started finding pieces, whether it be on Marketplace or I would go to like little thrift stores or whatever, and I would paint them and then I would put them on Facebook Marketplace. Now, mind you, this was years and years ago, so Facebook Marketplace, from what I understand, is not as good as it was back then, but people still lowballed you. So I was selling stuff for way cheaper than I should have. So that brings me to my point of how to price your pieces. So there is a general formula. The formula is, let's say that you have a dresser that was $50, right? So you have your dresser that's $50. You've got $50 of supplies in it. That's $100 right there, okay? So minimum you need to be charging $100 for that piece. Then you take your hourly rate. So maybe you first starting and you're like, okay, I'm gonna pay myself $10 an hour. It took me 5 hours to do this. Okay, so that's $50 that you need to add. So now you're at $150. And then the general rule of thumb, if I'm not mistaken, is 20%. So you take that 150, you multiply it by 20%, which gives you $30, right? And so then you're up to, you had $50 for your dresser, $50 for supplies, that's $100. $50 for your time, that's $150. And then that extra $30, that 20%, that's $180 is what you should minimum be charging. You're gonna get people who lowball you. I understand that not everybody can just set their price and never go down. You have to do what's best for you, but you have to set a precedent. So if you're constantly throwing stuff out there on Marketplace and selling it for $20 that took you days to do, and you're not making any money, you're not only hurting yourself in the long run because people are gonna say, oh, she's super cheap, but you're also hurting the other furniture artists around you because you are just selling it for nothing. To me, I feel like, okay, if it's a hobby, it's a hobby, but what's the point of doing it if you're not even making $5 out of it, right? So that's kind of a general rule of thumb. Charge for your supplies, charge for your time, and then add to 20%, which is really not that much if you think about it. Also, if you think about it too, when you take stuff to a mechanic's gonna say, okay, your brakes, a brake job typically takes me 5 hours, but just throwing it out there. And it may take them an hour. When you take things to a tradesman, furniture artist, anybody who does stuff as a trade, you're not paying them, you're paying them for their experience. So even if it doesn't take them 5 hours, that is a general rule of thumb is what it's supposed to. So if it takes them an hour, you're still gonna pay them for 5 hours because you are paying someone for their experience. It may have taken them 5 hours 15 years ago, and now it takes them an hour to do what took them 5 hours. You cannot question a tradesman, and because they've done it for so long. As long as they're still doing a good job, you're paying for experience, you're not nickel and diming them because it took them an hour. So understand that as well, that maybe you've been doing this for years and top coating took you an hour before and now it takes you half an hour. You don't charge someone a half an hour, you charge them for what it should be, okay? So understand that. Now, let's get back into it. Hopefully that helped you out. Hopefully I didn't go too far. Hold on a second, let's look at the clock. Okay, we've got 5 more minutes. So one day my husband went to this local thrift store and he said, hey, I signed you up for a booth. And I said, what? So he signed me up for a booth because I was doing furniture. So we put my furniture in this booth and that I started renting out a booth. Well, then from there, I started retailing paint. So I have retailed a few different paints. I've retailed General Finishes. I've retailed Sweet Pickins milk paint. I've retailed other paints. I've retailed other like accoutrement type lines. And so eventually I grew to want to be an influencer. And and I actually was a retailer for Dixie Belle. And then because we're military, we had to move. And so I grew into the influencer role. I had to do a lot of work in order to do that. So I had to do a lot of stuff on my social media, which that's a whole nother ballgame in there. I took classes. So I paid for classes to understand things like SEO, which you're like, what is that? Things like blogging, things like algorithms, all that stuff. And so I invested in... Sorry guys, my camera died. That's another thing. Make sure your camera has a good battery on it. Okay, so we've got about 3 minutes left. So I invested in my business, learning, teaching. So you're not only investing in your business, buying products and things like that, but the education part of it is priceless. So you should also invest in those type of things. Whether you're a store owner, a booth owner, invest in education to help excel you, okay? Then, let's see, I became an influencer. And so then I started working with a bunch of other companies. And then I started working with Dixie Belle. So a lot of people are like, why do you only use Dixie Belle paint? So I always say this, I dated before I got married. So I used a bunch of different paint brands and I used a bunch of different things, brushes, all that stuff before I chose one brand that was right for me. Okay, so just because a brand is right for me doesn't mean it's right for somebody else. Just because I only use one brand right now, and who knows, it may change in a few years. I don't know what the future holds. I just know that I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. And so, when I suggest that you use a bunch of different stuff, use a bunch of different paints, use a bunch of different, brushes, see what works for you. There are a ton of great companies out there, a ton of great paint companies, a ton of great brush companies. So try something that, try everything and see what works for you. It doesn't mean just because I use one paint doesn't mean that I don't understand other paints or I have no knowledge of other paints or other brushes. I do, absolutely. And I answer questions about stuff all the time that do not pertain to the stuff that I use. So it doesn't mean that, I see this stuff sometimes where people are like, oh, that artist, they only use one. They're not a true artist. Well, you don't know someone's story. You don't know if that person was a retailer for other stuff or carried other brushes or has used a million other paint lines. You don't know. That's not your place to say that. So, just because, and tell you guys that just because I use a specific line doesn't mean that I can't answer questions about other lines, or doesn't mean that I haven't used other paints. I love milk paint. It's great, but it's not a product that I use all the time because it doesn't fit my brand as far as the look that I want all the time. I know that you can get a solid look from it, but I really enjoy blending, and you can blend with milk paint, but it just, anyways, I digress. Try stuff out. The whole point of me telling you guys my story is that it's changed dramatically from where I started to where I am now. And who knows, in a year, it may change dramatically from this moment right now. I don't know. I'm just enjoying the ride. And for you, if you're just starting, don't be discouraged. You could start. For me, I love color, okay? And I only painted in neutral colors at first because that's really what's really popular. And people ask me all the time, does your furniture sell? Yes, it sells. And the reason why it sells, and this is my number one tip from you guys, if you don't take anything else from this 10-Minute Tuesday, it's this. Be your authentic self. if you paint five, let's say you paint 5 pieces that you know are going to sell, and then you paint that one where you just let it all go. If you don't show your clients, or you don't show the population, or your people that are in your area what you can do and what your range is, you will only ever do what you show people that you can do. Does that make sense? If I would have never shown people that I liked color and I could put colors together, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. And so it does sell. So don't always, I know that you have to put food on the table, but if you do 5 pieces that you know are going to sell and do that one fun piece, see what happens. It may be a stress reliever for you. I don't know. Anyways, our 10 minutes are up. I kind of rambled a little bit on this one. Hopefully you guys took something from that. Anyways, guys, I will have a furniture video out this week, and then that will be my last furniture video of 2020. 2021's next week, so really, I'm not gonna miss a week. I hope you guys have a happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas, happy solstice, whatever you guys celebrate, or if you don't celebrate. I hope you guys are safe, have happy holidays, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.